Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Josh Talks. Joining me this week, very excited about my guest. He is a legend around wrestling, the crown prince of hardcore, an entrepreneur, if you will. I am joined by Shinobi this week. It's thrilled to have you here. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. How are you, Josh?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for playing along with me, calling you Shinobi Al. It's the great
That's
Al
all right.
Snow. If you haven't figured it out yet, I am wondering though. I noticed you had a lot of ninja gimmicks. Why?
I
Why
only
so
had
many?
one. Well, I had two if you consider Avatar, I guess, as such as well. You know, um, in the Avatar gimmick was quite simply it was Vince's I was trying to capitalize on at the time, the Mortal Kombat and Power Rangers craze that was going on. It was so popular back in those days, and he was trying to find somebody to try to take advantage of that.
Did you have any as far as the different type of gimmicks that you were trying, whether it was that Shinobi, Leaf Cassidy, besides Al Snow, was there any of your gimmicks that you're just like, you know what, I really enjoyed this one. Like I'm hoping this one might actually take off more than it did.
Uh, I would say, no, I mean, really, it's not a gimmick. That's the thing nobody understands. Is
Mm,
if you've not done it, you don't understand. It's not a character. It's not a gimmick. Wrestlers are not actors. Okay,
mhm,
they're they that is not. And if they play a character, if they play a gimmick, it doesn't work. And we have a litany. We have a long list of examples of that throughout wrestling. What you see in that ring, okay, is who that person really is. It's just with the volume turned way up on that
mhm,
particular aspect of who they are. That's why it works, is because it's very important for the audience to be able to connect, to feel um, who that person is. Um, One, because they can tell, they can see right through it. You can, when you see somebody playing a character, um, it'll never get over with you because you know that it's not real. Um, if they are, being themselves, then it will. The other problem is that uh, you'll have performers that are playing a character, and they're really good at portraying that character backstage, during vignettes, um, um, when they are on the mic doing a promo, when they're walking to the ring, when they're walking from the ring. But the minute the bell rings, they wrestle like nothing like that character. Imagine Undertaker never did the Shakespeare, as he calls it, the way he did it. He just
mhm.
went out there and he wrestled like he wrestled. You know that which I love dearly when I hear guys saying, "Oh, well, Hulk Hogan doesn't know how to wrestle," and it's like nothing could be further from the truth.
Right.
He was brought in at a time where, unlike today, okay, unlike today in wrestling, there are no standards. There are no rules or anything in regards to how you train somebody. Back in the day, you were held accountable for who you brought into the business. It was a reflection on you directly, and it affected your way you made your living. Um, and so trainers took a great amount of pride in who they brought in. And Hiro Matsuda was a noted hooker for years. So you honestly think that he's going to train Hulk Hogan and not teach him to wrestle? I mean,
Right.
that's insane. The reason Hulk Hogan didn't wrestle or wrestled less during his time on top was because the audience didn't pay to see Hulk Hogan wrestle. They paid to see Hulk Hogan be Hulk Hogan. Steve Austin knows how to wrestle, you know, but you
Mhm.
didn't pay to see Steve Austin be a technical wrestler. You paid to see Steve Austin be Steve Austin. You know, Mark Calloway knows how to wrestle.
Yeah.
You don't pay to see Mark Calloway wrestle. You pay to see Mark Calloway be the Undertaker. You know, and that's the thing that people don't get. It's not that these guys don't have the skills to do it. It's that the mass audience doesn't pay for that. They pay to see what was sold to them. You sell a
Why do you think so
character,
many
you sell
people
a
don't
gimmick
get it?
because they want to sell what they do. And oh, you mean as far as like fans? Because
No,
they've
like
never done it.
fans or the wrestlers.
Because
Yeah.
Because thanks to the internet, and this applies to everything, thanks to the internet, we have the blessing, or I should say, really more the curse of the access to information. And because we have the access to information, we all assume that because we have a certain amount of information, we now have knowledge about the particular topic that that information pertains to, when we don't have any actual knowledge. In order to have any knowledge on an actual topic or subject, you have to have information in a commensurate amount of experience that makes you have an understanding of information that equates to knowledge. And unfortunately, very few people that watch it have that experience to really have the understanding and the knowledge of the topic when it comes to professional wrestling. Um, that's why I've been on this crusade to help people understand that, today's wrestling, there's nothing wrong with it, but the problem with it is that it doesn't appeal to a mass audience. The reason it doesn't appeal to a mass audience is because directly that the performers are selling one thing. They're selling what they do. They're not selling who they are or why they do it. And if you go back over the years, and you go back to when you were just a wrestling fan, not an informed wrestling fan, okay? You were just a wrestling fan. Go back and remember the first person that comes to your mind, your favorite wrestler. But what was it that you liked about him? Was it his moves? No, it was who the person was. That's what you connected with and why they did what they did within the context of a competitive situation. And you cared about whether they won or lost because you identified with who they were. And you could turn to your friends and family and go, there's this wrestler, he's so cool, or she's so hot because she's A, B, C, D, E. Today's performers, you can't describe them in a sentence or less. They're vague. There's not that definitive character that if I were to turn to you and go, beer drinking, ass kicking redneck, we know exactly who we're talking about. And we know what he stands for. And we know what he'll do to win and not lose. We get it. If I say dead guy, you get it. If I use myself as an example, crazy guy talks to a head, thinks it's real. You get it. It's one of the most valuable aspects of professional wrestling that a professional wrestler has to develop is who they are and to be able to effectively sell that to an audience. Because once an audience believes in who you are, they'll believe in anything you do as long as you do within the right context of why you're doing it, which is to try to win and not lose.
So yeah, you're talking about. I know how you're saying so many people feel more informed because all these other programs are being shown. They're watching. They feel like they're learning stuff to an extent, but obviously don't know the whole thing. That brings me to, have you followed or watched any of the anything with Dark Side of the Ring with this? Because a lot of people I know have been talking about that because they're feeling the more inside, the more real, more informed.
They're not.
Like what? Yeah, I was gonna say like what are your thoughts with that?
They're not. You got to remember, everything on TV is fake. You know what I mean? None of it's real.
What?
Not even the news. And it's those documentaries and like Inside the Dark Side of the Ring, and they're glamorized and they are telling aspects of the truth, okay, but they're adjusting or adapting it to make a good story as well and to create and drive an interest for a 1 hour or 2 hour program. I mean, that's that they their gist is not to disseminate information about a topic. It's to entertain an audience and want them to tune in the following week so that they can garner ratings so that they can make money. So, and there are going to be some facts that are going to be brought out and, brought to light. And there are going to be a lot of things that aren't going to be brought out, and, that are not going to fit within the story they're trying to tell, and I can say it because I was directly involved with a lot of those things, the shows that were just have recently aired. So, I was there, watched it happen, um, and then not everybody knows all the angles and everything like that, but yeah, they're fun and they're entertaining to watch, Sometimes they're hard for me to watch because I was actually at those or know those people on a personal
Mhm.
level. And, you know, it's not sometimes as easy to watch as would be if I just was just an outsider. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
as much as everybody would like to believe that they want to know the inner workings, that they want to know backstage, they don't. You really don't. It's disappointing, and it ruins it. Ruins the fun, of and the mystery. We all to some degree or another are fans of magic and watching a magician. And the worst thing we could do is go watch a magician and him sitting there sawing a woman in half, and while he's doing it, turning to over his shoulder and going, "Hey, don't worry, she's okay," or "Feed her up here. I got another girl down here with her legs out," and describing the trick. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the old mantra that really holds true is that familiarity breeds contempt. And, not thanks to the internet, not thanks to social media, but thanks to how people use it. Um, an audience today has become incredibly familiar with, or what they believe is familiar with, professional wrestling. And that is why you have so many that are so contemptuous of it because they feel so familiar with it. And the backstage, really inner workings, when, quite honestly, I got to tell you, the professional wrestling business as a whole, the art of the storytelling, the physical storytelling within a competitive situation is so deep that in such a it's like peeling an onion that as you peel more and more, even inside it, when you're inside it and you're involved in it, you really don't see the full depth. You don't have a clear picture of all the angles and everything, or why a lot of things are done at the time they're done, you know, uh, and to believe that you have a small, and I do mean a very infinitesimal peek inside with an access to information by people that really, again, a lot of these people they're not wrestlers themselves, never have been. They're fans like you know, and they're entitled to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. God bless your opinion. But let's keep in mind, an opinion is the lowest form of human knowledge. You can take this much information and you now can expound your opinion in a public forum as if it's fact, like it's true knowledge, like you took that little bit of information and you've now and really it's just conjecture, it's assumption, that's all it is, it's supposition, because you've never had the understanding, the knowledge or the experience of why it's being done at the time it's being done and what it's hoping to gain based on trying to go out there with your performance to motivate more people to want to pay to see you. That's what it comes down to. And that's what it revolves around, the entire wrestling business, no different than any other entertainment business. It's just we take a different tact to do it.
What was the biggest learning aspect for you then? Because obviously, with all the years that you've spent doing all sorts of things, wrestling, coaching, training, now Ohio Valley Wrestling,
Yeah.
where like you're pretty much you're overseeing it. So going into that position,
Yeah.
what has been your biggest learning experience in that role?
I would say it's not, I haven't really, I learned something every day.
Hmm.
Um, it's how difficult it is, and how difficult it always has been to uh, do what is really what required by both the promoter and by the talent, and that is to figure out different ways to elicit an emotional response that's so strong that it drives you or anyone else to want to leave, especially in like a time like this.
Hmm.
This is going to alter things going forward. The mass shootings alter things going forward because it now and because we live in a day and age of so much uh, entertainment choices that you can get just sitting on your couch at home. Now I'm trying to motivate you to. It's even more difficult for me to now motivate you to leave your home, okay,
Hmm.
drive to a building, pay to park, I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Right.
And you're probably going to pay what, in most cities, anywhere from $10 to $20 just to put your car someplace for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're going to pay, depending upon the company, anywhere from probably $35 a ticket to, I think the last I'd heard, like a front row seat in Raw was like $500. Now, I've got to motivate you to want to leave the comfort, safety, and security of your home, drive to that building, take the physical effort to drive to that building, spend that kind of money for you, your wife, your two kids, plus concessions, plus gimmicks that the kids are going to want, because if they don't, you're going to have to give them cough syrup, put them to sleep. To watch me, you're going to have to sit in an uncomfortable seat that you don't want to sit in, around people you don't want to sit around, to pay for food you don't want to eat, to watch me do my job. That's hard. That's really, really hard. I mean, if you put that, that's one of the things that I think that's come to light for me, is just how much of a challenge that is. And not just for me. I mean, just, for the entertainment business as well. That's why movie stars, a lot of people don't realize, that's why movie stars are held in higher esteem than television actors, because their real job is not to just act in a movie. Their job is to motivate you to want to come out to that movie theater and pay to see them do it. With the television actor, there's not that investment of physical activity, you know.
Hmm.
In it doesn't take as much to motivate, even though they're great actors, they're no different, they're no less. It's just that it takes a movie actor that much more work, and that much more marketing to sell their brand, sell their gimmick, sell their character, to motivate you to, leave your home. That's why they came up with that bullshit gimmick of being a celebrity. That's why the studios came up with that back in the 30s, is they literally came up with the gimmick of a movie star. And the reason they did is because you may like Tom Cruise and, Last Samurai, but there's no guarantee that you're going to care enough in between the time that it took him to make another movie to want to come see him in Mission Impossible. So what do we have to do to bridge that gap? Well, I got to create a gimmick, okay? Because Tom Cruise isn't going to be the same gimmick as he was in Last Samurai in Mission Impossible. So we have to create the gimmick of a movie star, a celebrity, so that we can continue to market him, so that you can continue to identify with him and live vicariously through him. So you want to go watch him in Mission Impossible, And that's the thing that today's wrestlers don't seem to grasp. They don't seem to grasp that they're literally being worked by Hollywood. And they go, because I hear the comments all the time of, well, actors don't portray the same character throughout. And you're absolutely correct. They don't, but they do portray a gimmick. And the gimmick is called being a celebrity or being a superstar or being a movie star that allows the public, the general public, to feel like they're living a life that's much larger and continue to live vicariously through them to motivate them to want to see the next movie. Wrestlers don't have that. The upside for us is that we are who we are. And so we're even more recognizable in public than Tom Cruise. But the problem for us is that that character isn't from a movie to a movie. It's the character we've sold, a product that we've sold. And now if we ever stop selling who we are and why we do it, an audience feels let down, which now makes that much more of a challenge for us to motivate them to want to pay to see us again. And, with the advent of social media and the internet, which is amazing, it's such an incredible tool, but everybody misuses it because they literally go through all the time, the effort, and the focus and the money to sell a product, sell themselves, sell that character. That you can say, I identify with this person and they're A, B, C, D, E. And then they go on social media and they go, yeah, it's not me. I'm just this regular guy and I'm all this. But the general public doesn't want that. They don't want to know you're a regular guy. They don't want to know that you live a life like they do. They want to believe in the fantasy that you've sold them so that it will continue to motivate them to want to live vicariously through you, through your actions. And that's the misuse of social media, which is where we get into the whole ridiculous concept that kayfabe is dead, which nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah, and actually, you bring up a good point, because one of the things I was going to ask you was right along those lines, because I find it very interesting how, yeah, there are wrestlers on TV, they have their persona, and then their Twitter handle is their real name,
So
And
dumb.
it's just,
So
yeah,
dumb.
it's just like, why are you doing that? Especially for the young kids that follow on social media.
And it doesn't matter if it's a young kid or not.
Hmm.
Adults want that too. They bought. Listen, that's the term sell, is to get somebody to buy into, to believe in what it is you're selling. Okay.
Hmm.
And the only thing we ever really sell in professional wrestling is who the wrestler is and why they're doing it. That's it. And when you take that away, then I use this analogy all the time. I'm gonna buy a commercial because that's all wrestling shows are. They're not TV shows. That's another misnomer. It's never been a television show. It's always been a commercial for the product, which are the wrestlers. Okay. I'm going to give you 6 minutes of commercial time. That's a wrestling match, but
Sure.
it's actually 6 minutes of commercial time to sell yourself. That's what it's
Hmm.
for. Okay. I don't care what you do or how you do it. You just need to sell yourself to where it motivates people to want to come pay you. Okay. So I'm gonna invent a toaster. Why? Because people love toast. I mean, it's the most amazing food stuff that you can possibly have. It's so simple to make. Who doesn't like toast? So I'm gonna buy a commercial on Raw or SmackDown. I can't afford 6 minutes because hell, 30 seconds is probably anywhere. It's probably 200 grand now these days.
Hmm.
I know that when I was there, and Kevin Dunn had told me that it was 50 grand for 30 seconds, and that was however many years ago, you
Right.
know. And now it's got to be at least 250 for, because I know locally it's almost $1,000 for a 30-second spot, not nationally, just locally, um, on Raw.
Mhm.
So let's equate it to about 250. So I can't afford 6 minutes. That's insane. I'm going to do 30-second spot, and I'm going to give you the most greatest commercial that I'm going to try to sell you an all chrome 16 slice with a bagel gimmick in the center with 32 settings toaster. Okay. And I'm going to do such a good job with it. I'm going to motivate you to go, God, man, I didn't realize I love toast so much. It's such an integral part of my life. I need to go to Walmart right now and I need to buy this toaster. Now you're going to go to Walmart and you're going to see it on the shelf and it's going to have on the packaging the exact same toaster, 16 slices, bagel gimmick in the center, 32 settings, all chrome. You're going to buy it. You're satisfied. You're happy. And you've experienced this with other products.
Yeah.
And then you took it home and you opened it up and it's not 16 slices. It is 10. It has no bagel gimmick in the center and it has only 12 settings and it's all black. Would you be happy?
No.
Because you didn't get what you were sold. How is wrestling different?
Mhm. It's not.
Kayfabe is no different than it's just kayfabe. Honestly, was just a code word that we used to use. It was a nondescript word. It was not screamed out in the middle of a locker room. It was a way to notify people that there was someone in the midst that we didn't want to screw up the illusion, stop the sell. Okay, because contrary to popular belief, modern audiences have known that wrestling is predetermined since the late 1920s. That's a fact. Just Google it if you don't believe. I know, I know everybody thinks, oh no, it's changed. Yeah, well, that's a hypocritical and lazy way to just explain away your lack of attempts to actually honor an audience's investment of time, money, and effort in you. It's no different than when you went to a movie and they spent literally of their budget millions of dollars that is to do nothing more than while you're in that movie theater have not one thing take you out of that world while you're in that movie theater. That's it. It's a pride in what you do and never violating what you've sold to your audience. That's all it is, you know? And uh,
Oh, I think you
changed.
froze on me for a second. There you
Uh,
are.
that the performers today want to convince themselves because that's who the only one they're convincing is that things have changed. It's not the same. You're old school, I'm new school. When they've not reinvented the wheel, what was fake about wrestling in 1920 was just the outcome that we knew going out there and that we were trying to make an audience buy into, believe in who we were and what our intent was when we went into the ring. What's fake about it in 1972 was exactly the same thing. It didn't change. The process, you did change. The characters changed, you know, the style changed because the audience had changed. It was much more sophisticated than it was in the 20s. You know, they wouldn't sit there through the same style of match. Um, Matches style and approach have changed over the years. It's evolved, it's grown because wrestling has and always will be a mirror of modern society. Today, your audience is more sophisticated than it's ever been. Even the children are much more sophisticated. An 8-year-old is much more sophisticated now than they were when I was 8 years old. You know, my worldview was nowhere near the concept of an 8-year-old now because I didn't have the access in my pocket to be able to watch the Antarctica on a camera in real time. You know what I mean? That was a different. That was like going to outer space, going to Antarctica. Going to Spain was like going to outer space or going to the Marianas Trench. You know, just the concept, the idea was beyond me at 8 years old because I had not that worldview. But an 8-year-old now has a completely different worldview. So now, as a professional wrestler, you have to have the pride in yourself and in your craft to be able to work on a higher, much more sophisticated level to allow that audience to believe in who you are and why you're out there doing it. Not using that as an excuse to say, they all know, it doesn't matter. It does. And you're simply making it much more challenging for not just yourself, because unfortunately, shit rolls uphill in wrestling as much as it does down. It's almost like throwing it at a fan and watching it splatter all over a wall. It goes everywhere. Okay. It, 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 that's why we all shake each other's hands. It's not out of respect. It's because we all need each other. I don't care how much of a babyface you are. Okay. I don't care how over, and I do mean the term truly over, which means that you, the audience, want to live vicariously through that person. Okay. I don't care how much heat you have as a heel. And heat's not your offense like these morons believe. It is a want, a need, a desire, a feeling of wanting to see justice done. That's heat. Okay. I don't care how much you have. If you don't have a baby face that's truly over, the heel ain't going to have a ton of heat. The heel could have a ton of heat, but if he doesn't have a baby face that's as equally over, you're not going to draw money. It's
Yeah.
just the way it works. And that's why we all shake each other's hands because you know that's why also that attitude too, you know, I hate that. Well, you're a curtain jerker and I'm a star and I'm a blah, blah, blah. You can't be the main event without an opening match, and the opening match can't be the opening match without the main event. Here's a little clue for everybody: you can't really win if somebody's not willing to lose, and you can't get over if somebody's not willing to put you over. There's a big difference between the two. um, and so you're not just making this more difficult on yourself to sell tickets, which is really your job. Your job is not to have a great match. Your job is to have a great match that motivates people to want to see you again. And you're making it harder for everyone to do that as well with your hypocritical approach to this and your complete lack of pride in what you do and your willingness to insult yourself and you know your audience that paid to see you. It's too bad.